Where we left off was talking about women's sports and how they don't get the same amount of attention that men's sports do, such as the NBA. However, in the late 1990s, the WNBA was created, and it was a professional league for, and it continues to be a professional league for women basketball players, so they can pursue it after college. So anyway, Mom, um, what do you think about the development of women's sports, such as the WNBA? Do you think it's beneficial, or
Well, I think it is a good idea. I think women should have the same opportunities as men if they finish their college career to be able to play at a professional league, at a professional level. But I don't think they have the fan base there. When we've gone to watch them play at the Palace, there's maybe 2 to 3 thousand people tops that are there to watch them. The place is empty except for a few seats, compared to going to watch the guys play when you've got sellout after sellout. So I think they probably expected it to take off faster than it did. It's been around for a while and it's still slow. And the women that do play on the league are not able to really even support themselves with the money. They don't make hardly anything to play, and they are forced to go overseas to play on the off season so that they will be able to make some extra money. They end up making more money there than they do here.
okay?
So I think it's just very slow in taking off. Do I think it's going to take off faster or more than this? I don't think so for basketball. I think it's going to pretty much stay the same.
For the WNBA, you don't think there's no progression
I
in
don't see
attendance?
it.
Okay.
No. Didn't they even take the Shock out of Detroit?
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
So,
So,
yeah, if it's not going to make it here, it's hard to make it.
you think, in the lesson we learned that basketball was more of a competitive sport, and not many women got to play it, and less competitive sports, such as swimming, were more for women, or was the sports that women were first allowed to play. Um, do you think that the low attendance of the WNBA games has to do with like the competition being somewhat manly and less womanly, if you will?
I think so. I don't think a lot of people want to go watch a woman that looks like a man, that's built like a man with muscles and is very competitive and banging around underneath the boards like that. I just don't think people really want to see that much. I think they'd rather go watch a tennis match outside or whatever in the sun, watching a girl in a skirt, more of a feminine sport, an individual sport, where there isn't any contact, just like as with golf.
Right.
They prefer probably to watch girls play non-contact sports.
Okay. Do you think golf and tennis have become more popular with women's sports?
Yes, I think Chris Everett and Martina Navratilova that were very popular, that were around my age, so they are in their early 50s as well. It started with Billie Jean King, and then it went over to our Martina and Chris. That was a big rivalry, and I think that opened up sports for a lot of girls, and a lot of them started playing tennis after that.
When did they first start having a big publication of, and as well as media being played on the radio or on TV, multimedia, anything with women's sports? So when did like tennis or whatever? When did you start seeing more women playing tennis on TV?
Well, Chris Everett, I'm sorry, was probably about 15, 16 when she was on TV for the
What
first
year was
time.
that?
So she's about my age, so that would have been about maybe about 38 years ago or so. And it was very popular. And then there was the big rivalry between Billie Jean King, and she played that man. I can't remember what his name was. Bobby. I want to say Bobby Fischer, but I don't think that's it. But that was a big rivalry on TV because she swore she could beat him, but I think he ended up beating her in the end. But Martina and Chris was a huge rivalry. That was just like Jimmy Connors and McEnroe. That was a big one. So I think they were real competitive as far as getting as much coverage, if not more, than the boys at that time.
Okay. What do you think about the issue of race in sports? Like, how has it changed today as opposed to 60s, 50s, even 70s?
Well, the teams are more diverse. Now, you take a look at baseball. Years ago, it was all white. Then came Jackie Robinson, and he played. And now, if you look at the teams, they're probably 50-50 with Hispanic, some African Americans, and then the whites. Basketball seems to be pretty much dominated by the African Americans. They're probably about 80% of the teams. So it's a little bit different. Years ago, it was mainly comprised of Caucasian males.
Mm-hmm.
The diversity is good, everybody's coming with their own talent, and it's making it more interesting and a more fun game to watch.
Why do you think it has become more diverse?
Um, well, I just think as far as basketball, I think it's really comes down to who really wants it more. So if you're playing outside and you're in the inner city, and that's your only ticket out of there, and you're playing ball 8-10 hours a day because that's all there is, in some places to do. You come out with a real drive to really want to make it. And I think they're working hard and they're playing in college and then they're going to the pros. Where some of maybe the Caucasians, they're playing other sports, they might be playing some tennis, they might be playing basketball and soccer, and they're kind of, playing a little bit of everything. They're not devoting all their time to just one sport. And same with the Hispanics with baseball, playing it year round makes a big difference than compared to somebody from Michigan that can only play so many months out of the year.
Mm-hmm. And one of the lessons we learned that this guy Harry Edwards had a theory that whatever sport was dominated by blacks or had a number of blacks in it, that it would contain a number of blacks in the future.
Mm-hmm.
However, this didn't remain true with baseball, whereas it's more, Hispanic and
Right.
more Caucasian than it is a black sport. So this did remain true with basketball and football.
That's right.
So,
That's true. Where you have hockey that is all Hispanic, or I'm saying is all Caucasians.
Right.
Yeah.
okay. Well, thank you for your time.
Oh, you're welcome. It was my pleasure. It's been a lot of fun.